Now let's have a look at some positives. How do we overcome unemployment? How do we create jobs? One, economic expansion. A policy of economic expansion and growth will reduce unemployment, and this can be achieved by increasing government expenditure, particularly on grants and subsidies, and give more money to the Industrial Development Authority, the IDA, to attract foreign firms to set up in Ireland. Encourage consumption, reduce taxes. So if you reduce income tax, people have more disposable income. If they have more disposable income, they'll spend more. If they spend more, they increase demand for goods and services, thereby increasing the demand for jobs. If you reduce VAT, then the price falls. If the price falls, demand goes up. If demand goes up, there are more jobs being demanded. Low interest rates. Make it cheaper for people to borrow money. If people can borrow money, they will borrow and they will spend this money, creating an increase in the demand for goods and services, which will create a demand for jobs. Stimulate investment. Low interest rates, low taxes on profits, and reward initiative. So low interest rates makes it cheaper for firms to borrow. If they borrow, they can then invest. Low taxes on profits leaves them with more retained profits. They can invest that back into the business. And reward initiative through tax initiatives. Okay, encourage exports such as financial incentives. Now, number two, attracting foreign investment. In Ireland, the IDA, that's the Industrial Development Authority, is the government agency responsible for encouraging foreign firms to set up in Ireland. They do this through grants and subsidies for fixed assets, building of advanced factories, and loan guarantees for these firms. Retraining. FÁS, which is now known as SOLAS, is a government agency responsible for training and retraining of workers whose skills are no longer in demand. Import substitution. This policy is designed to encourage Irish people to buy home produced goods in preference to foreign produced goods. Guaranteed Irish campaign was designed to achieve this. It is said that if Irish families spent an extra €5 per week on Irish goods, it would create an extra 20,000 jobs. Regional policy for depressed areas, that's depressed areas of employment. The government has developed this through grants, subsidies, and tax incentives so that entrepreneurs will establish firms in depressed areas of unemployment, such as Gaeltacht areas, inner city areas, and some rural areas. Now, let's have a look at the relationship between employment and poverty. Now, this is interesting. This might be a question in the exam. Outline the relationship that can exist between poverty and employment / unemployment. The greater the number of people working in a household, the lower the risk of poverty. So if you have 2 or 3 people working in a household, then there's income coming into that family. Number 2, there is a greater risk of poverty in rural Ireland than in urban areas. There's more employment opportunities and higher earning jobs in cities. Fair enough. There is a greater chance of a single adult household with children in the home to be at risk of poverty because the income is constrained to just kind of, social welfare payments. And the higher the education level attained, the lower the risk of falling into poverty. Interesting. Terms to note: full employment. This occurs when everyone seeking work is employed at existing wage levels. Now, I would also write in there, full employment does not equal zero unemployment. Underemployment. This occurs when a factor of production, labour, though not actually unemployed, is working below capacity. Labour hoarding. Now, this is a real good one now for a short question. Employers keep workers in a downturn to save on hiring and retraining costs when the economy improves. So the employers then will keep the workers, right, in a recession rather than having to hire new people and retrain new people when an economy improves. And finally, now we're going to look at measuring unemployment. In Ireland, we have the live register, which is the main one that is used or certainly quoted every month in the press. The Live Register provides unemployment figures for the Irish economy and is compiled by the Central Statistics Office. However, it is deemed to be inaccurate because 1. It includes people who are unable to work and are not seeking work. 2. People who are actually working while signing on the dole. People who are unemployed but do not draw the dole. Seasonal casual labour entitled to sign on. And part-time workers who work up to 3 days per week and are entitled to benefits. Now, I would know 3 of those. That tends to come up a lot. The second way of measuring is the quarterly National Household Survey, and this provides a more accurate measure, of unemployment. It includes 1. Some people, including housewives, who are able to work but are not entitled to unemployment benefit. 2. Each person over the age of 15 is categorised into employed, unemployed, not in the labour force. Like if you're in full-time education, you are not in the labour force. If you are in full-time third level education, you are not in the labour force. And lastly, the National Household Survey provides reasons why there is inactivity and why people are not in the labour force.